Hello everybody. Okay, so I am 6 months and 20 days since the last time I dyed my hair. A friend of mine who is, I actually met on the Going Gray Guide on Facebook. It's a group on Facebook for people transitioning out their hair, women transitioning out their hair. And I met a girl who's become my friend, and we started growing out our hair around the same time. And we were joking one day about how we almost sound like we're in a 12-step program. Like, hi, my name is Holly, and it's been 6 months and 20 days since I last picked up the bottle of dye, that is. Anyway, so this is my thoughts and feelings type of video. I make those at times to keep you posted about what I've been going through. Some of the times this road has not been that easy, but I have to tell you, it is so rewarding. And just when I think that I might be against one of those really difficult times to where I'm really questioning the whole thing, something else happens. Either I have a breakthrough that's personal within myself, or someone says something to me, which I'll cover in a moment, and it really represents me to the fact that, yes, this is so great. I'm so glad I'm doing this. This is the right choice for me. I did spend enough time, more than enough time, really. I'm going to make a video on that, but a different time. But yes, I spent more time than I really would have needed to, considering growing this out. And so it's been kind of difficult when I have reached those points of tremendous difficulty. I don't mean just for a day where I'm not feeling my best and I'm kind of thinking that my hair just doesn't look good like this and I just don't know about this color on me. Yes, I like the color. Not sure if I like it on me. Maybe it just looks good on all those other women in their pictures, is some of the thoughts that I've been having sometimes. But yeah, sometimes I have wondered if, in spite of all the research I did and in spite of all of the really thinking about it and all of this, if I really did make the right choice in the end. But one thing I have to tell you is, in those series of transition photos that some women have been awesome enough to post, where they actually show their hair fully dyed, and then they'll show maybe like 6 or 8 or 9 pictures of different phases of the growing out process. And it really looks not that great on most of them when it's about here to here, meaning like the gray is only within this area. Like, it doesn't look so bad when it's just short, like maybe an inch or so. But usually when it gets a little bit longer, about that 3 month or so point, 3.5 month point, till anywhere between here and here, it can look pretty funky. And the reason that is, I've explained it elsewhere, but briefly in case you didn't see that, it's because there are different undertone colors within the various colors going on here. There's undertone colors in the dye that are never going to really look good next to the undertones in the color that's growing out from your head, regardless of what color is growing out from your head. And then there's undertones in your skin, and that is going to get set off in a really clashing kind of way by the clashing tones going on with the two growing, like the growing out natural color and then whatever's left of the dye. So in a few women, I've seen that once the gray is past their eye, at least, they start to look a little bit better. And for some women, it really doesn't look like it gets all that great until it's past here, so that the gray is really surrounding their face. And I think what happens there is that at that point, the clashing of the different undertones within the two different parts is at least past the facial point. And so at that level, at that point in time in the transition, the person tends to look a lot better. I did see a few pictures of people where it looked good once it passed their eye, once the gray was cleared past their eye. And I think that in their case was that it was just soft enough at that point around their eye that it just made enough of a difference for them. So that said, I have still had a few days here or there where I've looked in the mirror and I'm just like, wow, I just don't know about this. But then I've also had days where my hair just, I don't know, the way it looks, or maybe it's just the way it looks to me right then. I'll pass the mirror and I'll be like, wow, this is so cool. I love this color on me. I mean, I've never had an issue with the color especially on other women. It's so much easier, my friends, to be objective when you're seeing it on other women. Even the parts where you can see they don't look their best and you think, at least for me, I thought that I was prepared enough, that I'd seen enough, that I got it, and that it would be no big deal for me to transition through this. And I have been caught off guard a few times, yes. And so nothing has been as hard for me as that month, starting around that 3.5 month point, going into the 4th month point. I have a video all on that. That was a very, very ruthless time for me. Nothing has been that hard, but I still have had a few times here or there where I'm like, man, I just don't know if I like this. But then I have to think, but what are my alternatives? Do I really want to put dye on my hair again? Anyway, what really made a big difference for me is that one of the viewers of at least some of my videos sent a comment to me, and she thanked me for explaining what I had noticed from all of my artistic background, all of the years of painting and color theory that I studied. I'm able to see colors within colors. For example, if you look at magenta, do you realize that there is like a brightish, almost like a royalish blue color undertone underneath there? I can see that there is a blue tone underneath magenta. Anyway, this is why I was able to see upon studying what I was studying and looking at all the transition photos and all the videos I've seen, that that's what's going on. That's why women are having problems and difficulties in this transitional period. And explaining this on some of my previous videos apparently has made a difference, at least for some people, and at least one person made a comment to me, and it really just helped me because at the time that it came in, I actually was undergoing one of those little spans of like, do I really want to do this? And anyway, what she commented about was that she hadn't really realized that as a person tends to get older, the undertones in the dye itself, and I think pretty much all dyes, if not all dyes, are lumped into this category because they can't really mimic the colorings and the undertone colorings that nature puts into hair, regardless of what hair color it is. And so as a person tends to get older, the coloring in their skin actually begins to change. And what happens is that as a woman gets older and older, and probably men too, the dyed colors look worse and worse and worse against their skin. So while we were able to maybe dye our hair pretty much whatever color we wanted, and we probably looked great in most of them when we were like in our 20s, maybe into early 30s, that starts to change, and it can change for different people at different points in time. But if you start to look around, just look, not from the point of being judgmental, but just from an educational point of view. When you're out at the store, wherever, when you start to see women who obviously look like they're in their middle ages and older, start noticing what their skin color looks like next to the dyed hair. And start actually noticing what the dyed hair actually even looks like, because even my sister and I, when we were teenagers, we were recognizing that as women got older, for some reason, their hair itself didn't look that good dyed anymore. Like, it started looking more fried and dry, and the color just didn't really quite look that right. We still didn't see into it then what I more recently was able to see into it upon really very recent and in-depth observation. But we still did recognize something was going on there with women as they aged. Their hair itself just didn't look that good dyed, we felt. So check this out for yourself. Just look at it, observe it, because for the longest time, I didn't really think that it looked that bad. But the more transitioned pictures I saw of women who underwent this journey and transitioned completely through this journey, the more I started to see that this dyed hair just doesn't look that good. The hair itself doesn't look that good, and it starts to really lose its effectiveness around the person's face as time goes by. So anyway, having this person comment on how my sharing this observation really helped her to be able to see this, because she hadn't seen it before, and that it made a really big difference for her because she was afraid of how growing out her own color would look. And my sharing that has helped her. And that is why I started posting videos on YouTube about this. I wanted to help people. And so it's so rewarding for me when I hear anything from anyone saying that they've gotten something in some kind of a valuable way from anything that I've said, or that they, like my enthusiasm or whatever. And I do try to be as enthusiastic about this as much as I can, and in general I am. It's not, when I say I try, I don't mean like I'm faking that at any given point in time. I guess what I meant there is that at times I don't feel my best about it, then I'm probably not being that enthusiastic, obviously, because I have had some challenging moments. But in my regular, happy, joyous moments, I am very enthusiastic about this because, well, for so many reasons. I've seen through the conditioning that we've all been put under. Society at large has been, I mean, like duped, I guess, in a way. And maybe it was done by the dye companies all those decades ago. They came up with dye and they wanted to sell it. And, how do they sell things? They sell things by convincing us that we're less unless we have this thing, and then we'll be more. Or they'll convince us that we need it. Or in this case, that we're going to look old and ugly if we don't have it. And then as all these women in the onset of it started dyeing their hair, I'm sure those around them probably thought it looked better, or maybe they thought they looked better, or whatever. But if we're told something, sometimes we just believe it, and then we see it from that point of view, not even really realizing we're actually seeing it from a point of view that we've been given or trained into. And I really believe, I really believe that that's what I'm seeing has happened here, that we've all been sort of duped into thinking that we need to do this or we look ugly and old, to the point that we have been seeing other women this way. Women mostly, because men have been considered distinguished looking when they get graying hair. And so, part of my excitement in this is just kind of helping to be one person to bust that paradigm, but also mainly for myself, just breaking free of, first of all, putting it on myself from that conditioned point of view, and then seeing other people from that conditioned point of view. And yeah, it's like, think about the wording, and most people are saying the same wording. Oh, she looks like she's letting herself go. Well, that's not our own thoughts. Everyone is saying that. Oh, she's letting herself go. Her roots are growing out. Oh, she let herself go. Oh, she decided to let herself go. Everyone says that, but then they speak it like it's their truth, and they speak it like it's the truth. And they don't even realize that everyone's just been saying that, and so they took on that point of view and that wording and that statement. And this is happening in all areas of life, but I'm just talking about this particular one because that's what we're mainly talking about here on this channel, at least for now. And then this perception that a woman looks older. Well, you know what? That was another thing I showed myself from studying all those before and after pictures. It's like, no, actually, the women look younger with their natural graying hair. And the long hair specialist I'd spent all those years with, he always said that, and this was years and years and years ago, before it was trendy at all for anyone to make their hair gray. Even young people weren't doing that at that time. And he always told me that what he observed is that when a person starts getting gray, it usually comes in around here, and it's nature's way of softening the face, because usually the crow's feet start first before really any other wrinkles, typically, and that it comes in here first on most people because it softens that area of the face. So he was telling me this from his observations, like way back. And he wasn't gonna put anyone down if they dyed their hair. He didn't do chemical work. He only did cutting, and he did very specialized cutting work, and he specialized with long hair. But he wasn't really an advocate of it either, because he actually really felt that a person looked better if they let their natural hair come in. And now I got to the point where I started to see that for myself in the pictures. And so, yeah, kind of excited. You know, do I think that my jumping into it is going to change the world's perception in one red hot minute? No. But, you know, one ripple at a time, you know, because ripples keep going. You throw a little stone into a pond, and the ripples go and go and go and go and go and go and go. And the only reason that they stop at all is because they eventually hit the bank. They would just keep going if the water surface were bigger. I overall think that this is a good thing for me. Of course, everyone has to reach their own point in time. It would have been, I wouldn't have been able to be here with it before I was. I think that if I would have come across some of the information I did at the point I did, if I would have come across it maybe 2 years, 3 years before, I do think I would have chosen it much sooner. And that's another reason I want to put material out too. I want to help other people perhaps make the choice sooner, and definitely with more confidence, and definitely to be as prepared as possible for the challenging times. That's another reason that I talk very freely about it and very honestly about it, because yes, I am in a super great space about this most of the time, but I feel that if I didn't share the difficult times publicly with you, that then I'm not really helping someone. And you know, and then if a person, which they probably will, hit those difficult times, when they do reach those difficult times, if all they ever see is pretty much being like, yeah, this is great, this is so awesome, I love it, like every step of the way, like, ooh, this is just so fabulous, I feel freaking beautiful, like even when my gray is down to here and the brown is down to there, like it's just marvelous. If I was sounding like that all the time, and then somebody was having a really difficult day, then maybe they'd be like, oh man, there's something wrong with me. Why can't I be in a good mood all the time like her? Or maybe this just isn't meant for me. Like maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe because I feel this way, maybe it's an indication that it's not the right time for me or not the right choice for me, and blah, 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 blah. You see, that's why being honest and transparent about those difficult times, and that I come through them on the other side, that's where I could help someone who's having a difficult time. Or even if they're seeing this now and they haven't had a difficult time yet, but then they do, they'll remember it. And then they can, you know, they'll remember and they'll say, yeah, okay, well, she had a difficult time, so I'll just wait this out. Just wait it out, because you will come out on the other side. Anyway, so that's what I have to say about it at this point in time. I'm sure I will have other things to say, and I will be back with more. So if you want to hear it, subscribe if you haven't already, and consider clicking the bell, and I'll see you back here on another time. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. Have an awesome morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever the time of day is, wherever you are. I am 6 months and 3 weeks. No, 6 months and 20 days.